Record. All righty. We are live on Facebook and we are like Memorex. Remember that? Like Memorex?
Yes, I remember it.
Oh, maybe, I just showing my age a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, I am super duper excited of my guest tonight. This is the 30 Women, 30 Days. And we talk about the life and times of a female entrepreneur. So I'm bringing you guys the best of the best. Because sometimes when I say what goes on in my crazy world behind the scenes, I used to think it was just me. I really did until I started connecting with other colleagues. And I said, I know that I'm not the only one that needs to know this information. Because when I run into women that are entrepreneurs or looking to become an entrepreneur, sometimes they look at, the end result where it's all perfect. It's all just sparkly. And I was like, wow, they must be doing great. It must have been easy for them. But what I find is that is far from the truth.
Very far from
to expose the truth. So Karen, I have Karen Alston today, ladies. And I just want you to kind of introduce yourself and your company and exactly what does Karen do? Who is Karen Alston?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lyric, for this opportunity. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so proud of you for focusing on 30 female entrepreneurs. We need more platforms like this to share our stories and to tell the world what it's like to be us day in and day out. So I'm Karen Maria Alston. I actually own two businesses. I own a branding and marketing firm called Alston Marketing Group that I've owned for 16 years, based in Washington, D.C. And that firm does a lot of government contracting. We've been doing contracting with D.C. government, the state of Maryland, and counties in the state of Maryland for the past 16 years. Most people know my work by Bike Share, by Capital Bike Share, the little red bikes that are all around the city. I did the branding and marketing for that campaign under then Mayor Adrian Fenty. So it's great. I see my work all the time, all over the city. That's one of the best things about being a government contractor is you constantly see your work everywhere. In addition to that, I do a lot of work with DC Public Schools, DC Public Charter School Board, and I have several large charter schools that are clients. So I do a lot of work for them. Outside of that, 2 years ago, I founded a women's empowerment organization called the Spectrum Circle. I did that as a way to give back because I knew that women like myself and you and other entrepreneurs had amazing stories to tell about who they were on their personal life journeys. And I wanted to provide a platform where women could share who they were. And the Spectrum Circle has grown very quickly. It takes up much more of my time than I thought it would, and now has become a business in and of itself that I have to manage. So running two businesses is a challenge, but somehow I just do it.
Yes. And what is the basis of the Spectrum Circle? Because I see you all over the place.
Thank you.
And the Spectrum Circle just bringing these women together. And I said,
so
ooh.
One of the things, and you know this, because I've been in marketing and communications for so long, my sphere and my lens was limited to other women who were in PR, marketing, branding, all the different aspects of communications. And I also kept coming across women in other industries, and I thought, wow, no one has a platform where we can hear what it's like to be a neuroscientist, or what it's like to be an engineer, or what it's like to be an environmentalist, or what it's like to be a doctor or a lawyer, or different types of women in different industries. And we're all facing the same issue, which is the glass ceiling. We're all facing the challenges of how you navigate your career, how you navigate from coming out of high school or coming out of college, going into your career, no matter if you're an entrepreneur, corporate America, nonprofit, small business owner, but how you navigate those challenges to get to be the next Bill Gates or Oprah Winfrey or Sheila Johnson or Sheryl Sandberg. How do you get to those places? And I realized as women, we weren't teaching each other what we needed to teach each other to get there. And that's why I created the Spectrum Circle. And I had no idea 2 years ago when I created this entity that it would resonate with so many women and take off. And it is such a blessing to watch it grow and nurture and get larger and larger. And now to have corporations come to me and say, hey, we want you to do an event here. And I have women who have platforms that are larger than just DC. They have East Coast platforms or national platforms, and they want to speak on panels and they want to come and share their stories. So it's just been an amazing journey to watch. And I'm so happy to watch it grow. And it's going to continue to grow by leaps and bounds over the next year.
Now that's awesome, because I've seen some of your events and it looks good. It's decorated really good. It's all cutesy. The women look glamorous and it looks like it went off without a hitch. That's how it goes, right?
It definitely looked that way, didn't it? And it was a home run. It was a home run. I'll be the first to admit the Spectrum Circle Awards luncheon is a huge production. It's about a $25,000 luncheon. So just in and of itself, from raising the money, selling the tickets, doing the event production, everything that goes behind the scenes, and to execute it perfectly with no one thinking that anything went wrong, except that it was a fabulous, amazing event, and they can't wait to come next year. I have women asking me when they can buy tickets for next year.
That is a good thing, because it doesn't always work like that in life. So you've been an entrepreneur over 15 years. Mm-hmm. When you started, did it just take off? Like, tell us some of the things that...
No, not at all.
Did it just take off? Because people think, they don't look back 15 years ago, Karen. They look back 2 years ago, Karen. You know? Oh, well, I just met her and she is killing the game.
No. So I started my career in corporate America. I was very lucky that I worked for 3 amazing brands, 3 Fortune 100 brands. And when I mentor young women, I do tell them, go learn. And the best place to learn is in corporate America. If you go there for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, learn from the brands that do it well. So I was very fortunate. I came out of undergrad. I went straight to JP Morgan. I went straight to Wall Street and was in a completely male-dominated industry where I was this tall brown girl from West Philadelphia who knew nothing about money, finance, private banking. I just thought you opened a checking account at, local checking. I had no clue that people had that type of money or assets or access to money. It was completely eye-opening for me. Left there, went to MBNA, America Bank, which became Bank of America, and worked ridiculously hard and ridiculously long hours. This is where I worked 80 hours per week, every week in my 20s, and was promoted and asked to work as a part of the CEO's team, actually as a part of the chairman of the board team, Al Lerner, who owned the Cleveland Browns. And from there, went to America Online, which was a startup in the America Online world, and learned from some of the best marketers and some of the best visionaries, from Steve Case and all of my friends that worked at AOL, that created a tremendous brand. So when I walked away from America Online, I thought, oh, this is just going to be easy. I'm going to write a business plan and everybody's going to run to me and offer their goods and services. Buy my goods and services. And my first 2 years, I probably earned 1/3 of my salary and lived on oodles and noodles. And I would go to events. This is a true story. I would go to events in Washington, D.C. to eat because I didn't have the money to eat. So I would go to receptions, go to lunches, go to events. I would get there late because then they wouldn't charge you if you got there 15 minutes before the event was about to end. And that's what allowed me to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner for many, many days, because my first year in business in 2002, My total revenue for the year was $38,000. My first year of business.
Wow. And you
So
had to
that's
pay all that stuff out of that, right?
I had just bought a house, and let me be clear: the mortgage on my house for that first year was $24,000, and I made $38,000. So you do the math of how much money I had left after I paid my mortgage that first year. So my first and second year were tough years, but my third year, I won my first government contract at $225,000 from Baltimore County.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing, because some people will be in that situation, Karen, and will quit because
Yes.
the numbers are not adding up. And not only that, you came from corporate America, you probably could have just went back,
Yes.
made your life a little easier, but you kept pushing. Like, no, this thing is gonna work. It's gotta work.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I had some tough nights where I would fire up the resume and send it out to a bunch of corporations, and thank God no one hired me and no one responded. But I had some tough nights where I said I could go back. And in the back of my mind, and when I talk to my mentors and friends who are now very, very successful business owners who knew me from that time, they all say the same thing. You have to go through the tough years to get to the reward. That is a part of the process. And I always knew that I could go back to corporate America. I always knew that I could go back. And so far, I'm thankful that I haven't.
Yeah, because it's very easy to say, because I've been in that predicament. It's like, maybe I need a job. But the difference with me and you, Karen, I didn't have anything to put on the resume because I had never been in corporate America. I had never had a job outside of an internship. I was just like, resume, I'm gonna have to fluff this. There's nothing to put on there. But I said, I think I'm unemployable. And so I just had to tough it out. And I had a baby on my hip. I say it all the time. So when you do the math, like you said, sometimes it's just not, it's just not working. And to tough that out for a couple of years, Karen, oodles and noodles, I don't like those.
Yeah, neither do I. And they're completely unhealthy. So, it was a stressful time of life, and I had to it was just me. If I were a mother or if I were a wife, I probably would have made different choices. But at that time, I had a boyfriend who was very supportive. So the choice was to just keep moving forward. And then when I won that first contract, I won a second, and then I won a third. Then all of a sudden the money started to come in, and I continued to make more and more and more and more money until the recession in 2008.
Ah, yeah, government, right?
Mm-hmm. Government contracts. And marketing. The first thing to get cut is marketing and HR. The two first things that people say, oh, we don't have to spend money on marketing.
We don't need those little red boxes. Not right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We don't need to tell anybody what we do. Yeah.
Wow. So things are going good. 2008 comes. Was it just like, okay, I'm just going to ride this out, save all my little coins I made? Because when 2008 came, I made a mistake, and I'm speaking to entrepreneurs now, or people who are learning. I started to win really big contracts, and I had one really large client, and that client in 2007 represented about maybe $650,000, $700,000 worth of revenue. And I made the mistake of having one big client. So then the recession hit in 2008, and that client went away. So when all of a sudden you have one client that represents 80% of your income, and I had to lay people off, I had to scale back. And then by the end of 2008, I was in debt $100,000. So it was, oh, wait, I went from having money to burn to I owe everybody money. And I had just bought a second business. I had literally just finished buying a second business. And it was the next 3 or 4 years were extremely difficult, lean years where
I would wait 6 months to buy myself a dress, or I would wait 8 months to take myself to LA to stay with my brother just because I needed to get away for a few days, because you're constantly working and you're constantly paying off debt.
Wow. Who knew? And so here it is, I went through the hard times the first couple of years and I made it. So, you start feeling great. It's consistent. The contracts are large and you're like, I'm good now. But then you never really know what happens. And here we are finding ourselves in this predicament again. So it's like, oh, shoot, where's that resume? We get the little dust off. And you just got to kind of weather the storm.
Yeah.
And I thank you for that. That's major.
Thank you. Well, I mean, the good news for me over those, even though those years were very, very lean, was that I was consistently bringing in revenue. So I could pay bills. It didn't mean that I had anything, but I could at least pay on the debt that I owed. And it takes, anybody that's an entrepreneur understands it's hard. And you could be broke today, and then tomorrow, 50,000 can be wired into your account. And when that 50,000 comes in, it's not 50,000 that you get to go blow on yourself. It's 50,000 that you have allocated. Let me pay this. Let me buy new computers. Let me pay down this debt. Let me invest in this for the business. You know what you're going to spend the money on because you work so hard to earn it.
Right. Let me ask you this, because I know when I got in a situation and I had to let go of staff, I don't know if I just felt bad. It was Christmas time. It was the winter time. And I remember Christmas is coming. The holidays are coming, rather, because it wasn't Thanksgiving yet. So I started using my little savings just to try to not let people go for the holidays. And I felt really, really bad. And then right before Christmas, it went to zero. And I just had to say, there is no more. It's no more for me. It's no more for you. How did you deal with your staff? Like, I didn't do good. I was a mess.
It was a very tough and painful time for me, because at my highest level of growth, I had 6 employees, and to have to slowly, everyone left. And I am thankful that I had employees, because it was a great learning experience for me. But even as these businesses grow again, it's because they're both back up on the growth spurt, I don't know if I ever want to have full-time employees again, because I'm such a giving person. I was worried about their mortgages, and I was worried about their kids' child fund, and I was worried about their car payments, and I was worried about their health care more than I was worried about myself. I would sacrifice to make sure everybody else's mortgage was paid as opposed to my own mortgage being paid, because I was the one taking the risk, and I felt guilty that they were believing in me and taking that risk with me. So I felt that I should suffer and I should make sure they were okay. And now in hindsight, for me to hire someone, when you see me, when everyone who's watching this, if you hear me say Karen is hiring a full-time employee, that means I have enough money to weather out a good year or two of salary, and I feel comfortable enough to do it. But to be honest, my goal for the Spectrum Circle is to hire a full-time employee in the next 2 years.
Oh, wow. And see, that was me. I was worried about everybody else. But men, male entrepreneurs, I don't think it's that hard for them. I don't know if I'm not saying all, but they seem to do that a little bit easier than us.
They have different character traits than we do. As women, we are natural nurturers, we are natural caregivers. It's just how we're coded. It's how God created us. So we're thinking about the other person, and we're thinking about what that person is going through. And one of the things that I teach my mentees, and I teach people that I gave advice to, is I've watched men over the years negotiate and cut deals. And the
Yeah.
first thing they say when they're cutting a deal or where they're trying to close a sale or where they're trying to close a deal is they say, I have mortgages to pay, family to feed, kids through college. And they ask for what they want and they walk away when it doesn't serve them. And women, we don't do that. We hold on and we say, oh, I'll figure it out or I'll find a way. And men have they naturally are able to cut, move, adapt, change much faster than we can in some of those situations.
Right. Now, do you ever run into, especially because you're dealing with government contracting, do you ever run into, where you're a woman, here's a male, they're going to get the contract first or more money on the contract? Do you ever run into those issues being a female?
No, and I have to be honest and say in my field in government contracting, it's just a small group of us, especially in the district. There's a small group of us that do government work. And some of my friends who are male contractors, they go after big contracts. They go after big multi-million-dollar contracts. That's what they want. That's what they live off of. That's what they do. So when they see a small $250,000, $100,000 contract, they call me all the time. Here, Karen, here, Karen, here, Karen, here, Karen, because they don't want the headache of the $100,000 contract. They're only chasing the $3, $5, $10 million contracts, and that's what they live off of, and that's what they want. So men have honestly been very helpful for me in my career and my business over the years. Oh, and I wonder if you're watching this now. Some of the men, and even in Prince George's County, I have friends in Prince George's County government that have, for the past decade, that have been looking out for me, that constantly send contracts or refer me. And in this business, we all joke that we know what we're going to win before the bid even comes out, because people know who's out there and who know who has the body of work, and they're already thinking about you to say, hey, this is going to come down the pike. I want you to bid on it and be thinking about your cost.
Wow. That's amazing. And that's built on relationships too. I'm pretty
Definitely.
Sure.
So remember those 2 years when I was struggling and going to events? Well, in those 2 years when I was struggling and going to events, I would meet people. And let me back up, because I hope she's watching, and I want to give a shout out to my dear friend Lauren, who's now back in DC government. My actual very first consulting gig, and she knows this story, so I'm not preaching out of school, and this is 15 years ago. I had no money. I was very, very broke, and I got a call from her to do some consulting in Detroit. She wanted me to go to Detroit and help brand some neighborhoods in Detroit in probably 2003 or 2004. And she asked me what my day rate was. And I didn't even know what a day rate was. I didn't have a clue what to answer her for my day rate. And at the moment, my Pepco bill was on my desk, and I didn't know how I was going to pay it. I think the Pepco bill was maybe $220. And so in my brain, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll ask for $250. But before I could utter those words out of my mouth, I said to her, what do people normally charge per day? And she said $1,000. And I was like, wow, this is 2003, 2004. I was like, wow, $1,000. I said, okay, that's what I'll charge. And she said, okay, well, we need you for 5 days in Detroit. And I was like, oh my God. And so I, quickly did the math. That was $5,000. And that was the first time I made some money. This was my first client at the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And they hired me to fly all over the country to brand and market communities all over the country. And I'm so thankful to them and to Lauren for that learning experience. And now fast forward, she runs an agency in DC government. So those relationships that go back 10, 12 years and people who know you and remember when you were just starting are invaluable.
That is something, because you would have said $250, Karen.
I was going to say $250 because I had that bill right in front of me and I just wanted to pay it.
And then you probably didn't want to outprice yourself, and be like, oh, you too high, And because if you don't know.
And I learned this lesson, oddly enough, this is going to be shocking. I learned this lesson from a speech someone gave, and I won't say her name, but it was, I went to a Politico Women Rule event a couple months ago, and Kellyanne Conway was one of the speakers. And she shared about an experience she had 20 years ago where she was getting paid her first speaking gig. And she too didn't know what to ask. She was so happy to be there. She was just going to ask for like $100. She wasn't going to ask for anything. And she finally asked, well, what are the men on the panel being paid? She was on a panel with two other men, and the person on the phone told her, well, they're getting paid $3,000. And she said, well, then I want what they're getting paid. And this was, and in her comments, this was in the 90s when she was doing this and just started her business. And, as women, we're so afraid to ask for what we're worth. We're so afraid to say, this is what I charge and this is what I'm worth, and you're going to pay me what I'm worth. And this is something I struggle with, but it is something I do all the time. I deliver great content, so you're going to pay me what it's worth for the content.
Yes. And we are afraid, because even at somebody saying, well, they're getting $3,000, you'll be like, well, I'll do $2,500. We still sometimes dumb it down just to get the gig, because we're afraid if we say $3,000 or more than them, that they'll say, never mind.
Right. We are afraid.
Yeah, we're afraid. And I guess we have to step out more, because I remember, not knowing what to say. I would have said the $250 also, because when you're in a certain predicament, you're like, God, if I could just $250.
You just want to pay that bill and move on. And not every gig is paid. I get that. Someone sent me a note the other day on Facebook and asked me what my speaking fee was. And I knew that I probably need to probe a little bit more to see what she can and cannot afford. But for things that are quote unquote professional conferences where other panelists are in your industry or like-minded, you should be paid what you're worth and what those men or women on the panel are being worth, no matter what their years of experience are, no matter if they came from corporate America or Procter & Gamble, it doesn't matter. If you are giving your expertise on that panel, you should be paid for it.
I totally agree. And I think we get that confused because sometimes we're new on the scene, but it doesn't mean that we haven't mastered our craft.
Exactly.
And I tell people all the time, master your craft. Because you always see me, I'm out of town at somebody's conference, I'm being coached, I'm being trained. Like, I stay learning, because one day when you got to step up there, you want to know your stuff, because too many people say they do this and do that, Karen, and they really haven't. If
they don't invest
in themselves, coach, there's a problem.
Right. They don't invest in themselves. And to be honest, I'm looking at women now for a coach. And it's so funny because I have so many girlfriends who are coaches, and I tell them all the time that I'm sort of, measuring them up to decide which one is going to be my coach. But it is critical, and that you invest in yourself. So we mentioned that prior to this conversation, this year, I'm headed to about 8 different conferences. I'm headed to a conference on Friday for a day and a half. And then on Monday, I head to Harvard Business School for another conference, a class to invest in myself. I have not had a vacation since June of 2015. That was my last vacation. It is now June of 2017. I go a lot of places. I travel extensively, and the past 2 years have been me investing in myself. And so I made the choice to go to conferences, to network and meet other women, and to meet women who were on my path and my peer group, and some who were ahead of me, so that I could learn, be nurtured, be guided, and be mentored. And that investment in myself is priceless. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think I spend more money in, mastering my craft, because I don't know. I just kind of believe in excellence or nothing. That's just me. Excellence or nothing. Be great at it, or don't waste my time.
Exactly.
And so I keep smart people around me. I commend you, because you said, early on, you were around people that made so much money, and you saw that there was more to this thing. So early on, you knew. I didn't get the memo until late in life. My crew looked up to me because I didn't have a job. I'm a solo entrepreneur. So I think I'm the big dog, Karen. You know, so you
Mm-hmm.
don't know that you're not the big dog
Mm-hmm.
because there's nobody above me in my sphere.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Which
get the
means you need
memo.
to change your sphere, which means you needed to expand your sphere.
But guess what? If you don't know, you don't know. And then once I started going to just local business conferences, and I would go by myself because I knew my crew wasn't interested. And I would go and I started meeting people, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. You make how much? You do what for a living? You really? Because I remember me always wanting to be in the entertainment industry, but you get to a certain age and be like, oh, they're not going to sign you, this, that, and the third. But I didn't know I could be in media and video and branding, you know, but just at a different level, you know, and still
Mm-hmm.
enjoying being in the studio. It's just not with hip hop, you know, and
Right.
even I had a couple of those. But it wasn't until I got with others and said, oh, wait a minute. I think business owners need media too, right?
Yes, they do.
My circle, once it changed, it's almost like instantly I latched on and said, okay, there's more to this thing and I got to stay connected. I'm the one hanging on for dear life. Y'all ain't leaving me.
Right. And that circle's even bigger. So part of what now I understand and think about is my circle's not just Washington, D.C. My circle's New York. It's Los Angeles. It's San Francisco. It's Dallas. It's Houston. It's Miami. My circle of influence and my circle of friends who are doing different things around the country is imperative to my learning and to guiding me to what's next and what's possible.
Right. Super, super excited. Well, I didn't know about the Little Red Bikes. I did not know that was Karen Alston. And that's major. That's kind of like major girl power, you know, because those little bikes. Now, I've never rode one, Karen, because I ain't going to be out of breath before I can get to the next bike lot to drop the daggone thing off. So I'm clear that I ain't the bike girl. But it's not that I haven't noticed them. You know, then you kind of say, people are really riding these little red bikes. So they are very visible. I mean, hats off to you, because to me, that's major.
Thank you.
That's major. And, you know, it's just like girl power. I'm all for girl power. And that is definitely girl power. So who knew? Karen is the red bike, y'all. Okay?
Well, you have to think too, when you're government, you're not supposed to market yourself. You're supposed to market your client. So when I do things if I do things for the DC Department of Health, I'm not marketing me, I'm marketing the DC Department of Health. So when we, in government contracting, we are behind the scenes. We're not supposed to be out front. So my job is to make that agency look great and to make that agency get all the press and the promotion and all the accolades and all the awards. And I have a couple of commercials that are airing on cable, and I see my commercials like, oh, I did that commercial in 2014, or I did that commercial in 2015. And to see it all the time from different government agencies, it's really cool to see your work all the time. But I have to tell someone, hey, I did that, but I did it for those agencies.
Right. And it is good to see your work. I was with some entrepreneurs this weekend, and we had them in the studio, and it was their first time, you know, getting their whole brand together and first time being in front of a camera, and just the outcome, the end result. You're like, yes, like, you know, my client is so happy with what I produced, you know, and so it makes you feel good when you see it all come together and it sparkles at the end. You're like, yes, that's it. You know, so I love, 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 love that space that I am in. Now, I know that we talked about, you know, because you're like the realest one I've had on this show, to be honest with you, that's really saying,
thank you.
This is what's really going on. This is what I went through, and you can make it. It is okay. You know, it's not the end of the world. And we talked a little bit before we came on air about mentoring. You know, you having some, and the thing is, you said you had a lot of women young women coming to you just asking for your time, asking, can you mentor them and things of that nature. Where's the passion coming from to say, you know what, I'm gonna help you, and you, to where your whole bandwidth is like, full, but it's hard to let go. What makes you?
Anyone who knows me, anyone who talks to me knows that I'm a huge proponent of women, and I'm a huge proponent for women uplifting women. I consider myself a unicorn in that aspect, that I am my sister's keeper. I am so thankful for the women who guide, mentor, help, who are my godmothers, my front row, my tribe of women across industries who have helped me from day one, from walking into 60 Wall Street at 23 years old and not knowing anything about wealth, and I mean super wealth, to the women who guide and nurture me now and who look out for me and open tremendous doors of opportunity for me. And I look at that and say, I have to do that for other women. I have to help and assist them as well to get to the next level. Now, obviously, I can't help everybody. I mean, I'm human. I have the capacity to only help a few people, but I try to think of ways that I can help groom them and help prepare them to get to the next level. And the reality is that we have a glass ceiling in this country. That's just the reality. If you look at the CEOs, if you look at the C-suite, if you look at women who run entities, whether it's a studio head or a corporation or big nonprofits, and I'm not talking the small $1 million, $5 million, I'm talking the 100, $500,000, $1 billion nonprofits, you see that there are so few of us and the numbers are shrinking, not growing, they're shrinking. So as women, we have to help each other navigate to get to these next levels. And I would go to conference after conference after conference after conference. And this is why I started the Spectrum Circle. And women would say, oh, I went to here undergrad, I got my MBA from such and such, and then became executive vice president. Well, BS, that's not what happened. Someone helped you navigate your career, someone helped you avoid pitfalls, you failed, you got fired, things happened, and someone had to help you get to those next levels. And as women, we have to help each other get to those next levels.
We have to. And people don't realize that we're out there. You know, we don't mind doing it because we got this bad stereotype that, you know, women don't help women. And that's not exactly true. You just have to find your tribe. Okay.
Yes.
You're in the wrong tribe. And I had, you know, learned that. And I'm so glad to be connected to women like you that I can say, hey, Karen, you know, because you got to just keep that type of energy around you. So I'm always a giver. I'm always saying, no, do it like this. Don't do it like that. I already tried it. Don't work, you know. And I give 110%. So I commend you for taking on mentees and, you know, helping them go in the right direction, because it's rough.
It's very rough. And let me say one other thing to the women watching this. We have to stop disparaging and limiting other women. We have to stop with, oh, what are you going to do? You got that big job. Or when are you going to quit? Or don't you think you should slow down? We never make those statements to men, but we make those statements to other women. We also need to stop limiting and saying, well, girl, you know they'll never let you get to X, or I don't see how you're ever going to get to. We have to stop those negative comments and terms and boxes we put on other women. If somebody can make it to CEO, we need to support her to make it to the CEO, instead of telling her to quit or slow down or stay home with her kids and let her husband's career flourish. There's nothing wrong with a woman being CEO of a corporation and her husband staying home with the kids. We need to stop doing that to each other.
I know someone that's their arrangement, and it works, and it really works.
It works just fine.
It really does, you know, because they make us feel guilty because we're, you know, moms and we're working really hard. But I know there are some men that love their business a little bit more and they go do it, you know.
Right.
Everybody's saying, wait a minute, you're spending more time at work than you are with your family. Nobody's saying that. Us,
Right.
the Bad Mama of the Year award, okay?
Right. Right. But we would never say that to a man, ever.
Never.
Ever.
Never, never. And you're absolutely right. So I try to keep it going. They know I'm always gone. I'm always working. I'm always training. Thank God my daughter is older now, but you know, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. So she's just been riding along with me. I remember when I was in real estate and I had to buy a vehicle and I said, I'm going to get this truck that has this DVD player in it. So with these little tinted windows, little girl, while I run in this house real quick, I'm going to turn on this Barney and you're going to sit right here. Because, you know, you almost have to do what you have to do. Thank God nothing happened.
Right.
But, you know, that was it. I was it. So, you know, and I have to keep going. I can't stop. And so when I run into women and it's like, well, I have 3 kids, or I'm a single parent, or this or that, or I work a 9 to 5. And let's go.
Right.
I'm a pusher, Karen. So I probably push a little too hard. Because there's really nothing you can tell because I think I've been through it all and use it as an excuse to where I'm going to say, yeah, you might have a point there. That's not going to happen. So let me ask you this. We have a lot of women watching and we always hear about government contracting, you know, whatever the industry is that you do. What advice would you give to women that may want to get into getting government contracts for their particular niche?
So government contracts are based on relationships, and the government buys everything. It buys, there's somebody who has a contract to do Melania's hair. There's somebody who has a contract to mow the lawn at the White House. There's somebody who has a contract to pave the pavements in Rockville. And it's all based upon relationships. So as I talked about that story, those first 2 years going out to every I would go to every single reception, networking event, lunch, breakfast, dinner, whatever, you name it, I would go. And I would go with the goal of meeting 5 people. And after I met those 5 people, to follow up, email, stay in contact. Even if I stayed in contact with them once a quarter, once a month, once every 6 months, once a year, I would do that. And then when you continually go out, I tell people, I don't market my business. If I need new business, I start going back out. And I go out to events and people see me and they say, Karen, I have this coming. This is coming down the pike. You know, this would be great for you. Could you think about it? Or we're going to have budget for this in 2018. You know, I need you to start thinking about how much it would cost to develop this branding campaign. You have to go to the meetings. The good thing about the government is everything is public information. They list how much money they spend on marketing, who won the prime contracts. If you are going after federal agencies and the big guys are winning, like the Booz Allens and the big guys are winning the prime, you need to sub to Booz Allen. So that means you need to go market yourself to Booz Allen and those big, and McKinsey and those big firms that are winning the big $100 million marketing contract. And then you go in and ask for, and you can't go and ask for 50 million and you don't have any past performance. You go in and you ask for the $500,000 contract to prove yourself. And then once you've proven yourself on the $500,000, you ask them for $1 million. And then from the $1 million, you ask for 2. And then from 2, you ask for 4. But where the mistake people make is they go up to McKinsey or Booz Allen and say, oh, we want all 50 million. And knowing they don't have the capacity to do $50 million.
Right. So you got to have the staff to do something of that magnitude.
Exactly. So it's all about relationships. I have friends that do government contracting, and they tell me they walk down the hall, and that's how they get contracts. They just literally walk down the hall and meet their friends that work at Booz or work at McKinsey or work at these big primes and say, what do you have? How are you breaking it up for small businesses? Get certified. Get certified. As soon as you open a business, get certified. Woman-owned, small-owned, minority-owned, veteran, disabled-owned. You get certified immediately so that when those contractors are looking for people, they can say, I need a woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned small business. And if you fit those categories, you'll be able to be someone that they can give that contract to.
Yes, and I was just talking to another young lady not too long ago, LaShonda Bracey, who does a lot of government contracting. And she said, you should have been down there when NASA had the movie with Taraji, they needed cameras, they needed social media and all this great stuff. And I said, really? She said, yes, social media is one of those categories that now people utilize. Before it used to be, just whatever, but now everybody, every company, every agency uses social media. And she said,
they do.
And I said, really? You mean what I love to do anyway?
Yeah.
She said, yes. If you're going to sit on there on Facebook all day long, you might as well get paid. I said, checking that out.
And this is and this is a political town. This is Washington, D.C. metro area. Think of all the campaigns that need social media. All the campaigns that happen locally, regionally, statewide, nationally, people who are running for office who need somebody just to do their text messaging campaign or just to do their Twitter or just to handle this. There are people who have agencies. There are agencies who only do Instagram, agencies that only do, Periscope, and that's all they do. That's the only thing they do. And they have all types of clients because they're experts on Periscope or they're experts on Facebook Live or they're experts on Instagram. One of my mentees, and I don't know if she's watching, but one of my mentees is such a prolific Instagrammer for her business that she now has brands paying her to post. So she's earning a couple $100,000 a year outside of her business. This is not her core business, but she's earning a couple $100,000 from major Fortune 50 brands to post on Instagram once a week. So I've watched her go from nothing to where she is in her business because she's tapping into an area that those brands don't know how to reach.
Wow. So they're asking her to post on her own timeline?
On her own timeline. One of the brands is paying her, I won't say the amount, but one of the brands is paying her, she's making $100,000 from one brand.
Wow. And that's celebrity stuff, right? You asked
and she's not a celebrity. She doesn't have 1 million followers, So I've watched her grow. And for those of you who are on LinkedIn or read Forbes and Inc., Julian Mitchell has a great column called Get Paid to Be Who You Are, and talking about the social media influencers and how the brands are now paying. Like I said, there are digital agencies who are only on these outlets, and they're looking for people with followers to pay to post on their social media.
Wow. And what was the name of the person you said? You said Julian?
Julian Mitchell, who does, he's on LinkedIn and he writes a lot for Forbes and Inc. and Fast Company. He's an African-American male, and he does a webinar on how to get paid to be who you are, on how to be an influencer. But beyond him, watching my mentee, who I learned so much from her, she pushes me more than I'm pushing her. And to watch her from when she started her business 2 years ago with nothing but a dream, and where she is today. And now she's got major brands, TV shows, networks, everything, reaching out to her, asking her to be a part of their brands because she has such a huge following. That she's grown in 2 years. I'm very proud of her.
That's major. She could just do classes showing other people what she knows. It's another stream.
Yes.
That's major.
That's
good. I don't know. I just love when girl power.
Yeah, that's just girl power.
Yeah, I just love it. That's just girl power. Oh, wow. Karen, I could sit here all day and talk with you. So you're like, who knew? Like, you are so fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you so kindly.
I could be like, you got your little wine. See, I don't drink.
It's 8 o'clock, Lyric. It's 8 o'clock. I needed a glass of red wine.
Wow, I am so glad that we came on and we were able to have you. And I just love you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doing well, and then reaching back to help others and pulling them up and, allowing them to be great as well. and we're coming up on the end of an hour. And I always ask this question to my ladies. Karen, if you were not doing this, Spectrum Circle, if you weren't doing government contracting, what would Karen be doing with no boundaries? There was no concerns on finances. You could just be whatever it is you want in life. What would that be?
Oh, if I had no concerns, no boundaries on finances, I'd be a serial entrepreneur. I'd be consistently creating. I would be like the female Warren Buffett. I'd be flying around the world, investing in businesses, pulling the rug up of businesses, getting involved. I'd have a team of trained consultants who would support me, and I would just invest my money in different businesses and different industries and help those businesses get from 5 to 50 or 50 to 100 or 100 to 200 or 500,000 to $1 billion. And I wanted to bring this up. I have girlfriends now who are struggling with they've made it to 5. How do you get from 5 to 20 million? How do you get from 20 million to 50 million? How do you get from 50 million to 100 million? And when I say these glass ceilings are in place, they are in place and they're hard. That you can get to 5 million, but you can't get to 25, or you can't get to 50, or you can't get to 100. And we need people to help women get over those hurdles and get beyond, oh, you just made it to 5 and now you can make it to 50 and you can make it from 50 to 100. So I would do that. I'd just be out investing and helping women get their businesses to the next level.
I so love it. But I could kind of see you doing that though. I can see
maybe
that.
And maybe I just spoke into existence what the next thing will be.
Too far-fetched, because I've talked to some people, and if they weren't doing what they were doing, they would be something totally different. But you have picked something. I'm just like, I could see Karen doing that. Like, I could just see you just going in that direction because you're already helping people. So it's just like, if I had some more money, I would help all y'all,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, and I'm going to make a quick plug. The next Spectrum Circle panel on July 19th, one of our panelists is raising a fund right now, and she's raising the fund to invest in African American and Latino women-owned businesses. That's her sole purpose, is to invest large amounts of capital into those businesses. So it is definitely something that if I had all the money, or if a firm wanted to hire me to just go around and be Oprah and help businesses all over the globe, I would do that.
Oh, wow. Now, I do know you have an event coming up July 19th, and I know we have Cheryl Wood, you have a Lucinda Cross, and some other dynamic women. Why don't you tell us about that so we can let everybody know where to show up?
Okay, so that event on July 19th is at Microsoft Innovation and Policy Center, which is in downtown Washington, D.C. And I am ecstatic about this event. I mean, just absolutely blown away and ecstatic about this event because the panel is an all-star panel. It's called Women Who Lead, Innovators, Disruptors, and Hustlers. And each woman on that panel is a rock star. I mean, they are just, outer planet, unbelievable, amazing entrepreneurs, each woman. And I am just so happy and excited that the women are coming together to be on this panel. We have 3 women from New York and 2 from here, and actually 4 women from New York, and 1, Cheryl Wood, being here from the Washington, D.C. area. Shauna Janelle Ewing, who's the founder of Genie Box, which is a box curated, it's a product box, and every month it's curated by a different African-American woman of the products that she likes, and you can subscribe to that box. Gail Jennings O'Byrne, who I mentioned, who's founder of Harriet's Fund, where she's raising money to invest in African-American and Latino women-owned businesses. Lucinda Cross, Cheryl Wood, and my dear friend Carrie Sheffield, who's the founder of Bold TV. She's based in Silicon Harlem and has just created this amazing platform. She's got collaborations with Salon, with Black Enterprise. Al Roker has invested in her business. She's just a rock star. I'm so excited. And as I shared earlier, companies are coming to me. So Microsoft, when I was putting this together, I asked them for everything I wanted, and they said, sure, no problem. You can have it. We'll give you everything you wanted. So I'm just blown away. So please get your tickets. It's going to sell out. I have a certain amount of women I want or attendees. Men are invited. I have a certain amount of attendees that I want to be there. I want it to be a little bit smaller and more intimate so that we can have a deeper conversation and that women can network and get to meet these dynamic women.
Wow. Well, I'm definitely going to show up because I said, all right. And then went over one hurdle. So I got outside my little circle. I said, but it's some more rings and some more layers to this thing. And I too have to just go to the next level because ladies, if you're not connected with the right people, sometimes we can just stay stuck. And there's too many options out there. We're women. We have babies. We multiply these people on the earth. Without us, it wouldn't be nobody. So, we're strong. We are strong. We go through heartbreak and then we pop up and, cry, get it all out. We start all over again. We're just strong individuals. We deal with things a little different than the guys and we bounce back so well. And so there's no need for us not to be great. Like why not? Why not just be great and faboo at the same time? Right, Karen?
Yes, so, great and faboo at the same time.
Great and faboo at the same time. So I know that a lot of people want to get some of your time. A lot of people want to talk to Karen, and you're giving them an opportunity to be able to schedule that with you. So we set up where they can talk to you, and that's if they shoot you an email, correct? So they can shoot you an email at Karen@spectrumcircle.com, correct?
And I'm going to choose one person from whoever is watching live right now. I'll choose one person that I will give an hour of my time to, whether if they're local, we can meet for coffee. And if they're not local, we can talk on the phone or do a video chat together, but have 1 hour of my time where they can ask me questions. They can ask for my guidance, my advice. I could give them what I would do in certain situations. So it's important, and it's very important for me to give back. So they can email me at Karen@thespectrumcircle.com.
Let me hurry up. I'm emailing now. I'm just kidding. If you need that information again, it's also at lifeandtimes360.com. That again, that's lifeandtimes with an S 360.com. And Karen Alston, you are a rock star for real, girl. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing the real story. Like you didn't hold anything back. And,
never do.
People needed to hear that. And you have been the realest guest we've had here. And that's what, this is intended for, to let people know it's okay. It's okay. Been there, done that, but this too shall pass. And we're born to win, Yeah,
we are born to win. Most definitely.
We are born to win. So I appreciate you as always. And you guys need to get your ticket for her event on July 19th because it's going to sell out. And
it is going to sell out.
Right. Don't call for the hookup after the fact. This party's going to be closed. So I appreciate you, Karen, for coming on and sharing your journey and allowing us to be on the backside of what Karen Alston is all about. Being Karen Alston, right?
Yes, being Karen Alston.
Being Karen Alston, and I so appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so ladies, next week, don't forget Life and Times of a Female Entrepreneur. Go over and like our Facebook page so you can see who's coming up next, what we have going on, and all the resources that we place there for women to be great. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.